what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today I'm back with another video. Here, the Flyers pick up a 6-2 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Really crazy one in this one. I mean, from Wells Fargo Center losing power for like half a period, and we play this game in the dark, and it was nuts. An eventful, and the Flyers score 5 goals in the third period. 12 goals in their last 2 games, a 6-goal rout in this one, and again a 6-2 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. Again, really good one. I mean, if you're just looking shots on goal, let me see. Here it is. 13 shots in the third period for the Flyers to the Lightning 6. And for the longest time, the shots were 8-1, and then 3 of them ended up going in the net for the Flyers. They did have 2 empty netters. But man, I mean, just a really good route in the third. We'll get there, though. Let's kind of break this one down. The Flyers had a little bit of an update today with the injuries. Drysdale, he's week to week connecting. He's still day to day. Ristolainen was put on IR. Bobby Brink comes up. So Brink comes in and he scores. We'll talk about that in a minute, though. Let's get into the lines. Farabee, Frost, and Brink. Delorier, Couturier, Lixell. Tippett, Lawton, Forrester, Cates, Paling, Hathaway. The Delorier, Couturier, Lixell. That was the fourth line. Yes, they did win this game 6-2. Yes, they did score a ton of goals and in some pretty quick fashion. But I will say, I really didn't like the lines. I don't like Coots being with a guy like Delorier. I just don't. I don't mind Lixell, for a game if you want to try something out there. I know you're short, and Atkinson was a healthy scratch. We'll get into that. So, that's probably where, Delorier probably fits in. And if Atkinson does play, I would assume that Delorier probably would have sat and Atkinson would have been in. Because it's tough because the Cates, Paling, Hathaway line's been very good, and I do like that line. I think it's aggressive. I really like Paling recently. His speed has been very evident, and you saw that in the first period in this one. I do like the BFF line, Frost with Farabee and Brink, or FFB, whatever way you want to read that, but more BFF because everybody knows what that stands for, right? So I do like that, and I don't love the idea of having 2 shooters on the line and Tippett and Forrester, but it worked, and we'll see kind of how it goes for the rest of the season if, obviously with all the injuries and if this is the lineup for a little bit here. Defense, York, Sanheim, Sealer, Walker, Stahl, and Zamula, and Sam Ersson was in that. It will be interesting to see what happens with the goaltenders. You have Ersson, obviously, and you have Peterson. And Peterson was not good on Sunday. So could the possibility of Sandstrom getting called up be on the horizon soon? I don't know. Would I do that? Yes. I honestly would rather call up Sandstrom just in case and have a third. I know they did it a lot earlier in the season, but I would do that just in case because it might work. And I would really like for a guy like Sandstrom to have a second chance. I don't think he necessarily had the best group in front of him last year, and I will say towards the end of last season he did have a stretch of games where he played well, and he kept him in some good games. So I would do that if I were the Flyers. I would see. I don't know. I mean, it's tough. It's a tough call because do you give like I tweeted this the other day? Do you give a guy like Ersson 18 in the next 23? Like it started tonight. Do you give him that? You know what I mean? And it's like, I really don't know what they do there. Because, you can, but if they do make the playoffs, is that going to burn him out? And that's something I think you have to ask yourself. Like, if you could maybe give Peterson and Sandstrom and maybe keep 3 for a little bit, and maybe, I don't know if you could etch maybe Sandstrom into maybe 3 games and maybe give Ersson maybe like 15, maybe 14. And I don't know. I don't know if that's too much. Like, they got 4 back-to-backs, one this weekend, and then they have 2 sets of 3 and 4s. So, I mean, that's not easy, and obviously those are, on the back-to-back, 2 of those back-to-backs there. So, it's really tough with the outlook of the season. But for this game alone, a really good outcome. A 6-2 win, like I mentioned. First period, Bobby Brink scores. Right off the hop, maybe about 2.5 minutes in. Not much really had happened. It was kind of just getting a feel for the game and all that. Really good play by Frost. Sets it down right over to Brink. Vasilevsky was really bad tonight for Tampa. He got picked a couple of times. Wasn't the best goal in the Brink one, but Brink will take it. Brink went down there, had 11 points in 11 games with the Phantoms. I thought he looked good. I did see a Phantoms game recently. I thought he looked really good. Kucherov line had a couple chances. Lights that and then yes, eventually the lights go out. So we played half this game with, it was like 13:43 of the first, with no clock, no scoreboard. Basically looking like an 80s hockey game. I don't even know if the Flyers had scored, if the horn would have worked. No one couldn't hear him, no music, nothing. It was weird. There was no first period sound buzzer. It was it was crazy. I've never seen anything like that before. And the Flyers actually had some chances. I mean, Lawton had a chance in the slot. That one almost went in. I thought they really exited the zone well and moved to the neutral zone with speed. And you saw Tampa adjust to that. And in the second, I'll talk about that in a minute. What a period. I mean, it was just, and then they call a delay a game on Tippett, and obviously this is one of the rules that is so stupid in the NHL that you can't review this for some reason, because every time there's a delay game, both referees and both linesmen huddle up and ask each other, hey, what did you think? So what do you think? It would kind of be common sense to, hey, let's add a review here just so we get the right call. But no, of course, this one goes off the boards. It literally is not a delay of game, and it counts as a delay game penalty. Tampa had a couple of chances, some block shots for the Flyers. There's had a couple good saves, and they end the period up 1-0. We go into the second period. Flyers looked really bad in the second. Lackadaisical, didn't move their feet, lost a ton of puck battles. The first forechecker for Tampa Bay F1 was in there right away. Both defensemen, I mean, Sanheim was horrific on the 4-on-4 shifts because Tampa gets a power play, too many men on the Flyers. That's a bad too many men penalty, especially early in the period. I mean, you had a good period. You had some good chances in that period. You had the lead. You can't go into it and, obviously you get to delay a game, which is unfortunate, but, too many men. So, Flyers get a power play. It was a trip on Cirelli, and Paul would score here, Nick Paul, right in the slot, and Tippett loses him, and Sanheim is just standing in no man's land. So it's like, it's kind of basically a double whammy at that point, because none of them are there, and nothing really Erskine can do. He blasted by him, so it's 1-1. All lightning here. Zamula had a brutal play where the Flyers are probably stuck in the zone for about a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes, and instead of rimming around the wall, he tries to go up the middle. He gets stripped right away. You could see it coming from a mile away. As soon as he made the move, he was going to get stripped. So that happens, and it was just, the Flyers did have a power play late in that period, but it was a lot of the little details that Tampa had won over. It did settle down a little bit. Flyers, when they got the power play later in the period, last 10 minutes were probably more in the Flyers' favor, I think, or probably more even, to be honest. But third period, they just exploded. Forrester, 2-1. That's good. That's short side backhand. That's his fourth goal in his last 3 games. Sanheim scores. Traffic in front, that line, the Paling, Hathaway, and Paling and Cates lines, excuse me. They crash the net. They get a ton of chances in there, and Sanheim snipes one glove side. There was a ton of traffic in front. They get two quick ones right there. But then Walker scores. He cuts into the zone. Really good play. And Forrester's goal was at 54 seconds. Sanheim was at 3:08, and Walker was at 6:55. So 3 goals right there in a matter of about 7 minutes or so, or whatever it is in the actual total game time. I mean, that's really good to see, especially against a team like Tampa Bay. They pulled a goalie, the Lightning, with 9 minutes left. They do get one. Stamkos would score, and it was about 5.5 minutes left. They got that one, but Cates and York both get 2 empty netters. For some reason, they have Cates is not as an empty netter. I guess because Vasilevsky was on the ice, but he was so bad tonight. I don't think I've ever seen a game where a goalie was so. He just looked so out of it, and not even to the point of he did not look like Vasilevsky. He looked like. I don't want to say. He looked like Cal Peterson. I mean, he looked bad, and I'm not going to sit here and I know he's one of the best goalies in the world and all, but dude, he looked horrible. I mean, the first one shouldn't go in. The second one shouldn't go in. The third one, there's a ton of traffic on that. There's not much you can do there. The fourth one, he gets sniped. I mean, the fifth one, Cates, Kucherov gets stripped at center ice, and he's skating off the ice, like, and he don't even make an attempt to turn around. Like, it was mind-boggling to me how, like, off he was. So that was definitely something crazy too. And, Flyers will take it. I mean, this is a huge win for this team. I mean, like I said it in the last video, Saturday could not buy a goal. Like, could not buy a goal. They had chance after chance, shot after shot. It just wouldn't go in. It was just one of those games. And then Sunday against Pittsburgh, could not buy a save. Every time Pittsburgh was in the zone, they had some sort of grade A chance. Peterson let up a really bad goal, whatever. And 2 games in a row, 12 goals. That was their 60th game that they played this season. Caps, Devils, and Islanders all have 2 games in hand on the Flyers. They all have 58. The Devils and Islanders currently right now are 7 points behind, and the Capitals are 6. Flyers play Washington in Washington on Friday. That's a big game because if you win that game, you can move 2 points ahead, make that 8, 71-63, similar amount of games played. So you'd have, only 2 games played. That's only possible 4 points on an 8-point advantage. And Jersey and the Islanders, thankfully the Flyers, who've, they've been winning recently and they've been getting points in good chunks of games. I know they've lost 3 of their last 4 and all that, but they haven't necessarily been great recently when kind of looking at the standings and all, but they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. Again, goal differentials +6, like a lot of good things. And this is a big win because Tampa's right there in the Atlantic. And again, I've said this before, it's probably going to be like 5 teams in the Atlantic. You have Florida with 82, Boston with 82, Toronto with 74, Detroit with 72, and then Tampa tonight with 69. So it's going to be tight. And I think when you look at the wild card, for those teams that are on the outside looking in, Detroit has 72 and they're in the first spot. And they're only, again, 2 points behind Toronto. Like, it's that tight in the Atlantic that the Leafs, who are a pretty good team, could be a wild card team. And then Tampa's right there too. And, their Caps are 6 points behind them. So the Flyers, I mean, obviously now Flyers and Tampa are the same amount of points wild card side. So when you're looking at this, it's a good margin to be at. And I think with games played and having 22 left, this will be really good to see kind of the test for this team on how they can kind of go through this now and kind of really see how the season progresses, because the more points you get, and you have a lot of games this month. Yeah, and because I think the one thing too is everyone's been talking about this month and everyone's been saying, oh, well, it doesn't get any easier. It doesn't get any easier. Like, the more I look at it, it really doesn't scare me that much. They went this month with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins, and they were 6-3-1? Yeah, they were 6-3-1 this month in February. And when you go to March, like I said, you got Friday, Saturday to back-to-back, and then Monday. So that's 3 and 4. So that's the 1, 3, and 4 for the rest of the season. I'm going to go through the whole schedule of March. Friday is Washington in Washington. Saturday is Ottawa in Philly. They've struggled against Ottawa this year, but I do think they can hone it in. It would be nice if they could be healthy, though, because I believe the Senators have been better recently. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10 as well. You have St. Louis, who you beat this year. Florida, you beat them the first game of the All-Star break. Tampa, you just beat them tonight. San Jose, I mean, come on. I think that's a gimme right there. That's a must-win. Toronto, you can play with them. You have Boston. That's going to be a tough one. That's in Boston. Toronto again, then Carolina, and then Boston again. That's the tough stretch. When it goes Toronto, Carolina, Boston, Florida, the Rangers. That's a tough stretch, and that's in the middle of March. That's 6-7 games there. That's not easy. And then they round out the month of March with Montreal, Chicago, and then we'll go off the end of the season here. The Islanders, Buffalo, Columbus, Montreal, the Rangers, Devils, and Caps. They got some tough ones, and they don't have Pittsburgh for the rest of the year, but they got a lot of Atlantic teams. Boston twice, the Leafs twice, Florida, Tampa, Ottawa. It's not going to be easy. Montreal too. I mean, it's, yeah. But I will say though, it's, it's winnable games. I mean, Boston's obviously there's other tough ones here, but they could play with the Rangers, they can play with Toronto, they can play with Florida. I mean, they can play with Tampa Bay. I mean, I genuinely, like, honestly, this team, and Carolina too, Christ, like, this team has proven they can do this. So it's going to be a really tough month, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out. I just hope that they can stay healthy, because the more they stay healthy, and the points are so in their favor, even though I know they have games in hand, but the points are there where the games in hand don't really matter that much, because Pittsburgh is so far behind with the 4 games that they have. They have 5 games in hand. 9 points, so it's a 1 point difference. But the chances of the Penguins winning 5 games are pretty slim with having 5 in hand. Like, I can't see that happening. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Thanks everybody again for all the support as always. My name is Chris. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. Thanks to everybody for all the support as always. Make sure to follow Maher Media and all the things that we do. Again, like I said, my name is Chris, and I'll talk to you all again soon.